Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Nerds of the North, and it's time to talk about Comic Con. Now, doing this video because I've heard from a lot of friends, a lot of fans even, who have been replying on our YouTube channel, that they just don't, they've never been to a Comic Con before, and they don't know either what to expect or what is the day going to be like, because it's a venue that, let's face it, while we do have a lot of attendance showing up at a lot of the Comic-Cons in the area, not everyone that you talk to who's into the same hobby goes to these. I have plenty of friends who are into like Warhammer 40k, Magic the Gathering, they're anime fans, they're sci-fi fans, and they don't go to conventions. So they don't know what to expect. They look at the guest list and, ooh, they're kind of tempted to go, but the shock value of not knowing what to expect always tends to stop them from going. So this year, I went to a Comic-Con I had never been to before. I went to Niagara Falls Comic Con. Now, from where I live, that's only about a 2-hour drive to get down to the convention, and I only managed to go for one day. But what was great about it is I managed to get some media passes so I could get some couple of interviews. Really only got one interview, but one's better than none. You got to start somewhere. And I can give you a clear representation of just what it's like to attend a Comic-Con or a convention in general. Let's start off on the list here. First thing I see a lot of people asking about is cosplay. They want to go in cosplay, or they're thinking about ideas for going in cosplaying, but they're nervous about it because they're not 100% sure if they're going to be able to get a costume ready in time, or if they're nervous and shy about their crafting skill not being up to par with everyone else that's going to be there. Because let's face it, there are some absolutely amazing cosplayers that show up to conventions. I saw quite a few of them this year that blew my mind. But at the same time, the costume that I wore, it looked... I kept getting compliments that it looked great. And it was cardboard and duct tape and bits of fabric. That's it. It wasn't too ambitious. It was ambitious in just that it was bulky. I'll intercut this video with a couple of photos of it so you can see what I'm talking about. But on the Friday, the only day that I ended up going, I went as Shredder from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Now, my Shredder was a combination blend. I really like the helmet styling and the face guard from the movies, primarily the first movie, but I didn't like the reflective purple suit, or burgundy suit, as it was more seeming. And that cape was just really, really weird. So I decided to do a half and half. I went with the helmet and face guard style from the film, but the rest of the costume was from the cartoon series. So it was black pants, a gray tabard, I used a purple belt instead of a black belt, and a big purple cape. And it turned out really, really well. The greatest compliment that I got was when I was in on media hour, which was an hour before the convention opened to the public. I found Kevin Eastman's booth. For those of you who don't know, Kevin Eastman is one of the co-creators of the Ninja Turtles. And while I'm standing in line to get him to autograph something for me, actually, even while I'm approaching the line, he looks up, smiles, and I hear him say, good-looking costume. And, from the creator of what you're cosplaying as to say that, you can't wipe the grin off of your face after that. Even more so, his wife actually pulled me aside and was like, "Excuse me, can I get a photo of you in that costume?" So, like that's pretty it's pretty an intense feeling there. That was the major shock to me this year going cosplaying, was just the number of people who would stop me and ask for photos, and they were all extremely nice about it. There'd be the couple of times I'd turn around and I'd see someone out pointing with their camera at me, and they were just, it's like they were too afraid or too nervous to ask for a photo. And I'd just stop, strike a pose for a few seconds, and then they'd smile and walk away. A couple of them happened like that, but a lot of people would come up to me and compliment me on the suit and then ask, could we get a photo? And sure, I didn't mind that at all. We honestly, we stopped counting. I went with a friend of mine, and we stopped counting at around 100. 100 times I was stopped. Stopped by vendors, stopped by other cosplayers, stopped by fans. I got stopped by radio stations and television stations that were there just to get photos of me in costume. And yeah, I've done a little bit of cosplaying before at different conventions, but that was a first major experience with cosplay. And looking back at it now, the interesting thing about it was I was the only Shredder there. That was insane. Like, the creator of the Ninja Turtles is here, and only one person dressed up as the villain on Friday. There could have been another Shredder there on Saturday and Sunday. I was only able to go on the Friday. But to be the only person there that day dressed like that, that was incredible. I came across, there was a group, a family that was dressed up as Leonardo, April, and Casey Jones. There was some other, other people just walking around as individual Turtles characters. I did see another Leonardo walking around. I saw another Casey Jones walking around. The best one that I saw, I was standing, I had just actually finished making a purchase at one of the artists who were drawing some artwork down there. I'll show you those pictures afterwards. And I had someone walk up to me, and looked like he was with the media potentially, or just there with a camera gear to cover a lot of the cosplay that was going on. And he looks at me and he goes, "Excuse me, I got a favor to ask of you. There's a little girl over in line to go and see Kevin Eastman, and she's got this Ninja Turtle, she's got a Leonardo costume on that she made herself. Would you be willing to come over and pose for a photograph with her for so that we can have the two costumes together?" And you know what? That's not a problem. I felt great going over and doing that. Ended up being 12 people over there who were taking my picture at that time. And we had the one pose where I crouched down and I had the claw upright, locking in with her sword. And then we took another one where I was kind of recoiling back away from her like she was beating me. And it was nice. I stood up from that and walked away, and there was a lot of smiles, everyone was just happy. And that's the best part about the cosplaying, is don't be afraid of it. I will be the first one to admit right here, right now, I didn't really want to bring this costume. I spent so much time working on it. And then as we got closer and closer to the date, I started getting scared. I started getting nervous. Do I really want to walk around all day with this? It's kind of big. It's slightly awkward because the shoulders are a lot wider than my shoulders are. I don't want to be turning and bumping into people. Am I going to have a hard time moving around the convention hall? What if people don't like it? I can't believe I'm going to be going on a media pass with this, and Kevin Eastman's going to be there. What is he going to say? I was nervous. I was extremely nervous about wearing this costume. Don't be. The nerves are going to be there if it's your first time. 100%, you can't get around that. You will be nervous the first time you get in costume. However, from the moment you get in that costume, walk like you own it. Just kick back, you've got the costume on, go and show it off. And you will have such an incredible experience. Before we even got into the building, I had 5 people ask for photos. While I got into the building and was waiting for the media entrance to go in, I had another 15 people ask me for photos. Press hour, probably about 15 people ask for photos. And then while the convention's going on, almost every vendor I stopped and talked with asked if they could get a photo. There was a lot of young kids that would see me, and their parents would come up and say, "Do you mind if you got a photo?" And, I'd crouch down on the ground so the kid isn't being intimidated by me towering over them, even though a couple of kids were still intimidated. I'm a big guy. But it was great. It was a lot of fun. And, I had people... I was able to hear when I'm walking around there. I guess it's kind of was because I was the only shredder. That's why I was hearing so much of this. But I'd hear the word of mouth drifting around through the fans. It's just like, "Oh, did you see the guy dressed up as Shredder? Did you see him? Oh, yeah, that's a pretty sweet looking costume. Did you see him? He's standing over there, man. Go ask him if we can get a photo with him." And yeah, literally, like I had groups of people stop and take photos, and off we go, and then stop again, take photos. I'd probably make it like 15 feet at some times between photos, sometimes even less. Sometimes I wouldn't get stopped for a photo for about 20 minutes. But the thing to remember with cosplaying, and I'm really glad that people did listen for this, is there's a golden rule when it comes to cosplay. First of all, if you're in costume, understand people are going to ask for your photo, and it's only going to take a few seconds. If you're going to ask someone who's dressed up as in a costume for a photo, ask. And 90% of the time, even 95% of the time, it's going to be perfectly fine. You're not going to have a problem. The golden rule comes from when you see the cosplayers sitting down. 90% of the time, this is going to be when they've stopped to grab a break, to have something to eat, have something to drink, because it's hot wearing some of these costumes. Some of them will have to take part, like with me, I had to take the helmet and face guard off to be able to drink anything, because I didn't put a straw hole in it. So, when part of the costume is off, let them be. They're taking a break. When you see the cosplayers eating, let them be. They're having a break. They're taking some time to themselves. You're gonna see them around again. Costumes stand out at conventions, okay? You can spot costumes through the crowd. Trust me on this. That's how my buddy was managing to find me in this convention. He just looked for the giant silver spike coming off the top of someone's head, and they go, "Oh, there he is, over there." So, definitely though, if you're planning on going to a convention and you're nervous about cosplay, just give it a go. Honestly, pick something that you love. Pick something, even if you can't do it to 100% to the way of your liking. Like, my Shredder costume, I can make it a lot better. And I'm going to be slowly improving on it. But as a first-off costume for the first major event at cosplaying, it was really successful. And nothing says you have to enter the cosplay contest. Nothing says you have to do that. So don't. If you don't want to, don't enter. It doesn't cost anything to enter, and it's not going to hurt you if you don't enter. Important thing to remember is just go and have fun. Okay? You're there with everyone who likes similar stuff to what you like. You're among friends, okay? You're in the group of of so-called the normal for what your type is. If you're dressed out as an anime fan and you know what, you're a guy and you decided to cross-dress up as one of the female anime characters, don't worry about it. You're in a group of people who are going to look at it and go, "Oh wow, that's cool. Can I get a picture?" And that's going to be the reaction you're going to get. No one's mad. No one's, "Oh, that costume is horrible. Why would you do that?" That doesn't happen at conventions. And if it does, you're not the problem. the other people are and they're not enjoying themselves. Don't let it get to you. Don't let the stress get to you. Speaking for myself, I was stressed out, I was nervous, but I had the best day at a convention I've ever had. Okay? The following are a couple more tips just to make your day at the convention go a lot more smoothly. Number 1. If there's any of the timed events that you'd like to see, like the Q&A sessions or the special seminar workshops, the schedules are usually all available online, or you can get a program right when you get there. Plan your day. Okay? The stores aren't going to go anywhere. The shops, they're not moving. The cosplayers, they're going to be there all weekend. If you've gotten a workshop you'd like to go and do, plan ahead, make sure that you get to the right place at the right time, and you're good to go. Now, you're going to spend a lot of time on your feet. A lot of time on your feet. So comfortable footwear is a must. If you're not going to be comfortable standing on your feet in what you're planning on wearing for your costume, change it. It's not worth being uncomfortable. No one's really going to care that you're not wearing authentic footwear for the costume. Have authentic footwear for the costume contest, but when you're just walking around, sneakers is perfectly fine. Whatever you're comfortable in. I wore sandals, for crying out loud. Just because they're the most comfortable thing that I own. Okay? Now, very, very important. Cash is key, and set yourself a limit. While it is always a good idea to have backup funds on you just in case something goes wrong, leave your bank card, leave your credit card and stuff at home or in the hotel room. You don't want to burn through more than you were planning on spending just because you saw something absolutely amazing. Okay? And a lot of vendors, don't count on vendors, having access to credit card machines, having access to Interact machines. Because a lot of vendors just don't have that technology. It's going to be cash purchases. A lot of it's going to be based on cash. And the lineups and service fees for ATMs at conventions can really take a chunk out of your spending money. So hit the branch of bank that you were with, pull some money out, and make sure you say to yourself that this is what I'm allowed to spend. This is my purchasing money. If you want to have a couple of extra bucks to get something to eat, go for it. Now, food at a convention is going to be expensive. And a lot of conventions don't want you bringing food in, understandably. I don't knock them for it. A lot of them might not allow you to bring bottled water or stuff like that in, but if you can get away with bringing like a bottled water or like a granola bar or something in with your backpack, do it, because otherwise you're looking at $5 for a slice of pizza that is nowhere near really worth that much. So just be aware, food prices are going to be a little bit more expensive, and if you can plan ahead, that's probably the best bet. Familiarize yourself with the floor plan. Almost every convention I've gone to now, they've posted the floor plan up so you can see exactly where specific vendors are located, so that you don't get lost. Now, this convention on Friday, they were able to have up to about, I think, 10,000 people was the attendance level, and it got pretty crowded in there down certain aisles. And when you're wearing a costume, it's hard to negotiate those aisles. But, plan out a route that you're going to walk through there, just horizontal through the aisles or up the columns or go in blocks, doesn't matter. But familiarize yourself with the floor plan so that you're not going to lose track of where that vendor was that you were looking for, or spend half the day wandering around only to realize that they were behind you when you were looking the wrong way. If you're going with friends, it's either you plan to meet up ahead of time early, or all go down together. Because finding each other in the convention can be tricky. Unless you all have operational cell phones and you're going to be calling each other all the time to try and figure out where each other are. But if you're going with friends, plan ahead, carpool down together, split the money and cost of a hotel room so you can all stay together type thing. It just makes for a more communal experience, and if you're with friends, you're going to be less nervous. Cosplaying by yourself the very first time, if you're only there by yourself, you're going to be slightly more nervous than if you were with friends, because you're with people that you know, and you automatically have that comfort level brought back up. Now, just in general, there's a lot of people who try to go to these conventions. So, showing up early is a good thing. Okay, for example, Friday, the convention hours were from 4 p.m. until 9 p.m. That meant the box office was opening at 3 p.m. Now, media and VIPs had a special hour preview, which meant the media and VIPs got in at 3 o'clock, and everyone else had to wait until 4 o'clock to come in. We showed up to the convention center at 1:30 in the afternoon. That gave us some time. We managed to wander off down to a Tim Hortons, grab an ice cap, wander back down to the convention hall, then suit up, fill up the backpack with all the media gear, suit up into the costume, and walk up to the line. When I made it to the line, I'd say it was about 2 o'clock, okay? And an hour before the box office opened, there was about 150 people standing there in line, and it was already becoming slightly hectic. By 3 o'clock, that number was almost 600. So the lines can change incredibly fast. The earlier you can get there, the better off you're going to be, especially if you're looking for some of the Comic-Con exclusives. Something that's a very limited print number that, say, like they've only made 1,000 of them for this convention. And, it's going to be first come, first serve, so you'd want to be at the front of the line if you're trying to go for that. And if you plan ahead to show up early, it gives you all the extra time to be able to settle up checking in with the hotel, allows you to compensate in case traffic is bad. If you forgot something, the most important, you forgot a camera card, like a memory card for your camera, you'd be able to go out and run out and grab one, get all this stuff taken care of before the convention starts. So plan accordingly, leave early, and you're going to be great. Trying to think if there's anything else really to talk about. If you're only going for one day, try and save your purchases off until the end. And if you are going for multiple days, then unless it's something rare that you don't think is going to be around, you can grab it right away. Otherwise, just be aware, whatever you buy, you're going to be carrying. And while a lot of vendors do have plastic bags for you to be able to put stuff into, a backpack or a messenger bag is a fantastic thing to have at the convention. If you're planning on going and picking up a lot of artwork, I'd recommend getting one of the artist folios that you see a lot of art students carrying around, especially if you're trying to get large prints. I'll show you a couple of the prints that I got. I paid about $3 extra per print so I could get the plastic sleeve that she was displaying them in. But it worked out in the end because I managed to get them home without a crease, without any problems. And, wander around, check out all the booths first. Prime example of this is I saw some of the Gundam Wing figurines. These were the figurines that were sold in Toys R Us back when Gundam Wing was huge in the 90s. And I had one or two of them. I didn't have them anymore. And I really wanted to pick them back up because it's my favorite anime, and now I'm gotten into the handle of collecting everything, and I wanted to have that collection back again. Well, I saw some of them. Yes, they were new in package, and they were between $150 and $40, just based on the rarity of the figure. That I was tempted for the $40 one, but it was a model. It was one of the models for something that I didn't really like the model of. For example, it was in Gundam Wing. It was Death Scythe Hell, but it wasn't. I don't like the Death Scythe Hell model. I like Death Scythe, and Death Scythe Hell Custom is okay, but my personal favorite is Death Scythe. So, after wandering around for a little bit, maybe about 2 hours after I saw that, I looked at another booth, and miracle of miracles, laying down there on the table, side by side each other, was out of package, and out of package they can tend to be missing something, and I am missing one person's shield. Doesn't matter to me, because how I have him positioned, he's got both hands full anyways. So, with all that set up, I've managed to find the entire Gundam Wing collection. Sandrock, Heavy Arms, Wing, Shenlong, and Death Scythe. $2 a piece, out of package. $10, I got my entire collection. It's kind of better than just spending $40 and getting the one model of the type that you didn't really like. This is why browsing is a good thing. Shop around. You might find someone that has it at a different price. You might be able to haggle with some people. I'm not personally very fond of that, but a lot of people do it. And, you know, a lot of these vendors are businessmen, and they're going to be pushing to make deals. And as numerous of the businessmen there were saying, you know, if you have cash and you're paying for it in cash, you're going to get a better deal. Because cash, they don't have to pay for extra equipment and stuff. And a lot of vendors, you know, they're going to say they want it out of here, here and now. Sundays, like the last day of the con, that's when they want it out, because they're going to have to cart it home if they don't sell it. And the less stuff they have to pack up at the end of the night, the happier they're going to be. So Sundays when you're going to find some of the better prices, but your selections aren't going to be the greatest. So, it's a bit of a hit and miss there, eh? It's a bit of a hit and miss between the quality of the selection and the quality of the prices. All in all, for what I picked up in my haul this year, I am incredibly impressed, and I am perfectly happy with what I bought. I spent exactly the amount of money that I brought with me to spend. I didn't go over my budget, and I think it paid off because I got some absolutely fantastic pieces. I've got a piece of artwork here that my jaw just dropped when I saw it. And the artist, she actually called me out on it. She's like, I can see inside your mask there. I saw your jaw drop when you looked at that. I know you like it. Now, I saw it the first hour of the convention, and I didn't know if I was going to buy it. But, you know, 20 minutes before we were ready to leave, I decided, no, you know what? That piece is something I really do want to have. So I wandered back to find her. And sure enough, she remembered. Kind of hard not to remember when you're in costume. But she remembered. She's like, oh, you came back? Like, yeah, I came back. I'm going to take that collection piece. And she's like, I thought you might. So a lot of the vendors are really, really nice. They're just people. Get to talk with them. You can have conversations with everybody there. And that's the main thing to remember about conventions. And that's what I'm going to close with here before I go on to showing you just what I managed to pick up. This is a social experience. Conventions are all about meeting people, talking with people, having a great time, and meeting others that have the same interests that you have. I ran into people on Friday that I would have never known that they were Ninja Turtles fans. Nothing about them said that they would be, you know, interested in the Turtles. They weren't wearing a turtle shirt. They weren't wearing any type of nerd iconography on them. Like, there was no Star Trek badges. There was no Big Bang Theory stuff that they were wearing. But, you know, when I see a group of girls walk past me and one of them just turns around and looks and goes, "Ooh, Oroku Saki!" You know, jaw drop. It's like, you... Not only do you recognize who I am, but you recognize the character's name, not what everybody... Like, yeah, it's the Shredder, but the Shredder's real name is Oroku Saki. Wow! You know, mind blown experience there, right? I ran into a girl who's cosplayed up as Marceline from Adventure Time, and I just went, "Oh, hey, Marceline, how's it going?" She turns around, she's, "Wow!" You know, it's just a lot of... You have to be a little bit outgoing. No one at the con is going to yell at you for talking to them. If you're trying to carry on a conversation with somebody while they're on their cell phone, or if you're butting into the conversation they're already having, yeah, that's just common sense. Don't do that type of stuff. But you can strike up a conversation with anybody over anything. And that's the best part about cons. Honestly, try them out. You're not going to be disappointed. And when you see the stuff that I was managed to pick up, you're going to see why, as a collector, going to conventions can be a fantastic little experience. Okay, now, remember me talking about the stuff that I managed to pick up at the convention? Well, here you go. I have two fantastic little Ninja Turtle comics here, both of them autographed by the master. There you go, there's Kevin Eastman's autograph on the first one. He personalized it for me with a little turtle head. And this is the one I picked up for my cameraman. You know, got that one autograph for him as well. Raphael's one of his favorite characters, so that was the perfect comic book to grab for him. And this one, I love the cover art. This is why I picked it up. And we've both agreed, neither one of us were actually going to read these comics. These ones are going to get pressed down into protective plastic cases, the thick screw-together plastic cases. And these are going into permanent archive collections. Sure, they might not be worth that much money, but you know what? The dollar value doesn't matter to us. It's the sentimental value that we have something that someone who's so important to us from our childhood took the time and signed for us. Such a fantastic experience getting to meet him. Okay, now here's one of those classic Comic-Con exclusives. As you can see, Comic-Con exclusive. You can only find this actually at Comic-Con Niagara Falls. This is a beautiful piece of artwork for Ghostbusters. I'm a huge fan of Ghostbusters. It's their 30th anniversary later on this year. I saw this, and it's one of the things, you know, I had to get. The artist talking about it told me all about all the work that she put into it. I think this piece, she said, she took about 30 hours, maybe 35 hours for her to complete this piece. The artwork is absolutely fantastic. Look, you got the fantastic little taxi cab driver up here. You've got both of the Zool dogs. You've got the librarian. You've got the 4 Ghostbusters, and she's captured the likenesses perfectly. I love the way she's got Bill Murray set up here. It looks like from the exact scene when Slimer's charging at him. So there's Slimer right there, and of course, you've got the classic Stay Puft. This is the artist that put out the fantastic, huge piece that I bought at the very end of the convention, and that's the one I'm going to show you next, so hang on a second here. Alright, this is the piece. This is the masterwork that I ended up buying at the very end of the con. It's the one I had to spend most of the con thinking about whether was I going to buy this, was I going to get something else. The girl is telling me this took her over 200 hours of work put into this, and I'm a child of the 80s. This poster just screams 80s nerd. Well, let's zoom in, and I'll take you across everything here. Alright, so up at the top corner here, that is She-Ra, who is fighting the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Moving over here, you have Starscream taking on one of the cars from the show Mask. Up here, that's the original Bumblebee in the clutches of Darth Vader. And this one I absolutely love. You've got the 4 turtles here. Leonardo's coming in, look like he's going for a head chop. Raphael is messing up Megatron's shoulder. Donatello seems to be working on his hip, and Mikey's riding his other arm. All four turtles are trying to take on Megatron there. Down here in the corner, you have Lion-O taking on, I believe that's Hector from She-Ra. It's the villain in She-Ra, but he's getting stalled out by the wizard there. Then you have Luke Skywalker taking on Skeletor and Evil Lyn. And to tell you, that fight's over in a second. Here you go, right here in the middle. That is Cheetara racing against Car, the evil Car from Knight Rider. We have Mum-Ra here, and if you recognize what those beams are, that is the real Ghostbusters right here. There you go. Block out the reflection. That is the real Ghostbusters engaging Mum-Ra while hiding behind Kit for protection. Up here we've got a classic grudge match, wrestling match going on between Optimus Prime and Krang in his robotic body. And down here in the foreground we have Battle Cat and He-Man engaging the Shredder. How can you ignore this photo when you're an 80s nerd? This was unbelievable. This is well worth the money for it. I can't believe I got it. I'm extremely happy. This is going up on my wall as soon as I figure out how I'm going to mount it. Alright, here they are. The collection that I've wanted since I was a young kid. I finally managed to get all 5 of them. Just to zoom in here for you guys. Here we go. This is Sandrock. Catra winner's little Gundam there. He's in great condition. His backpack doesn't stay on too well, and he's missing his shield, but $2, great find. There you go. There's the Fantastic One himself with his scythe. Death Scythe, the original. Favorite Gundam of all of them for me. My absolute favorite. Piloted by Duo Maxwell. Guy's amazing. Here you go. The classic form of Wing. Gundam Wing with his shield. That's the propeller or the front nose of his plane form. Now these do not transform. They stay in their fighting mobile suit style, but absolutely beautiful detailing on them. This Gundam is of course piloted by Hiro Yui. Moving over here we have Shenlong. His Nodachi is on the back, shield on his arm, and he's got his Dragon Claw extended. Classic for ripping off other mobile suit heads. This is, I believe it's Shang Wu Fei. This is his Gundam. Great Gundam. Not exactly my favorite pilot, but what have you. And standing here we have the original Heavy Arms. His chest does open, his shoulders open to reveal the missile pods. The only missile pods that do not open are the ones on the legs. He has his single Gatling gun mounted on his fist, and as you can see right there, he has a combat blade that'll spin out for stabbing. This is the Gundam that is piloted by No Name, or No Name originally, but he ends up taking the name of Troa Barton. So here you go. $10. $2 a piece. I was flabbergasted when I saw this, and I am so glad that I now have them. Okay, so that's it. You saw all the stuff that I managed to pick up. You've heard about my experience at the convention. I hope you go out and enjoy some conventions on your own. Now, there are 2 conventions coming up in this summer that we at Nerds of the North here are going to try our best to attend. The first being Con Bravo, which takes place in July, and that's going to be in Hamilton. That is the convention for YouTube personalities, YouTube content creators, and geek culture in general. So you're going to have a lot of tabletop gaming. You're going to have a lot of cosplay going on. You're going to be running into people, like the guest list right now is Angry Joe, and Nash from Radio Dead Air, and Linkara from Atop the Fourth Wall, and Leon Thomas from the Renegade Cut. JonTron's going to be there. Brental Floss is going to be there. You know, all these names that if you type into YouTube, you're going to find millions of hits. They're going to come. They're coming to Canada. They're coming to Con Bravo in Hamilton, and it's going to be a great experience to see them all. You get to chat with them. They'll have a couple of Q&A panels. If you happen to have ordered any of their merchandise off their stores, well, here's a great chance to try and get it autographed. I'm going to be doing that with my copy of To Boldly Flee, because I'd love to try and get Linkara, Angry Joe, and Nash to sign it. That'll be fantastic. And the next con on our list is the big one. The end of August, we will see Fan Expo Canada in Toronto. This is a 4-day event. This is going to be taking over the entirety of Metro Toronto Convention Centre. At least it did last year. I don't know if they're going to take both North and South buildings this year. I hope they do, because they're really going to need the space. They haven't really finalized their full guest list yet. It is in August, so be prepared through June and July to see a lot of new stuff coming out as to who's coming to the event. Right now, however, they've announced William Shatner is going to be joining the event. There's some great anime voice stars. I believe you have the guy who was responsible for doing Trunks, the guy who's responsible for doing Goku. They're all going to show up. I believe the girl who does Ash Ketchum is going to be showing up as well. It's going to be a huge experience, and this convention, Fan Expo, covers the comic genre, the science fiction genre, the anime genre, the horror genre, and even the gaming genre. So everything is going to be there. Last time they had this con go on, I believe they had something like 100,000 fans show up. So this is the big one. If there was one convention you plan on hitting, Fan Expo is going to be the one. And Nerds of the North is going to be there. If we can manage to get media passes, fantastic. If not, we're still going to be there and cover the con for you. So you can hear about it on our radio show, hear about our experiences, or have to settle for our catching up with our vlogs on YouTube in case you're outside our broadcast range. But then again, you can catch our stream online. So until then, take care. Remember, guys, just because you're into something nerdy doesn't mean you have to hide it. Nerds of the North, take care.